Hello everybody, welcome to Wild Boy Movies, the place to talk movies, and we got ourselves a big update regarding the Simpsons franchise and how we are finally going to be getting yet another Simpsons movie so long after we got the first one. What I'm going to be doing in this video is talking about the announcement of this new Simpsons movie that is in development, as well as talking about how I think about it overall. But be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below your thoughts on The Simpsons Movie 2 finally happening. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so this news literally came out from the studio themselves, 20th Century Studios, not from a reliable scooper or a trade outlet like The Hollywood Reporter or Variety. No, it was literally from them themselves, where they wrote that The Simpsons are coming to theaters with an all-new movie on July 23rd, 2027, along with dropping the first poster for The Simpsons Movie 2. And I gotta believe that the Simpsons fanbase are very happy that we are finally gonna be getting another Simpsons movie in theaters. Now, on my standpoint, I'm not really that big of a fan of The Simpsons, nothing against it, but I just haven't seen a single episode of that series or the movie that we previously gotten. But of course, I am familiar with the Simpsons franchise. I mean, they were in the Lego Dimensions game, which just turned 10 years old. I've also seen some clips of the series online, and I am aware of the conspiracy theory that The Simpsons predict the future. So it's not like I'm completely finding out this franchise exists for the first time. No, I am completely aware of The Simpsons. It's just I don't have that big of an excitement for the second movie just because I haven't seen a single full episode of the series. But I do respect that people are a fan of The Simpsons and are probably very much looking forward to this second movie. But I mean, now that the Simpsons movie is for sure getting a sequel and it's actually happening, that first movie is now going to be on my watch list to end up watching, and I do want to watch this movie before the second one comes out. But the main thing that I do want to go ahead and talk about with the announcement of The Simpsons Movie 2 is whether or not this movie is going to end up being successful or not. Because I know that fans of The Simpsons are going to be going to the theater to check this movie out just because they're a fan of this franchise and they want to see what they have in store for this second movie, and they probably were fans of that very first movie. But there are still some factors in here that make me think on whether or not The Simpsons Movie 2 is actually going to be a success at the box office or if it's going to end up flopping. Because if we're taking a look at movies that are based off of TV shows, the one thing that I want to point to is the Bob's Burgers movie. And even though I really liked the movie and I thought it was one of the best movies that we gotten of 2022, unfortunately, it just didn't do all that well at the box office whenever it was released. Because taking a look at Box Office Mojo, the movie only made $34 million worldwide. And that turned out to be a pretty disappointing box office return for the Bob's Burgers movie, making that film a flop. And with that in mind, I just don't know how well The Simpsons Movie 2 is just going to perform in the box office just because that movie ended up not making all that much money. I just don't know if that same sort of thing will end up happening to The Simpsons Movie 2 when we finally get that movie in 2027. Another factor that I want to bring up with this on whether or not it'll be a success or not is that maybe they waited a bit too long to finally bring us this second movie. And like I mentioned, 20th Century Studios gave this movie a release date of July 23rd, 2027, which just so conveniently happens to be a few days away from the first Simpsons movie turning 20 years old. That's right, whenever we get the Simpsons Movie 2 in 2027, that first movie will be a whole 20 years old. And I don't know if that many people are really clamoring for a second Simpsons movie to even be a thing in the first place. So I don't know if that many people would end up showing up to a sequel that happened 20 years after the original. But my counterbalance to that is that we did have sequels to movies that released 20 plus years ago that were actually successful at the box office. Like Top Gun Maverick did phenomenal at the box office, even during the pandemic. And Beetlejuice 2 did end up being a success when it had its theatrical run last year. So it really is up to the fans to show up to The Simpsons movie 2 whenever we get that movie in 2027. And just hope that there's enough fan interest for this sequel. But other than that, there's box office competition like we got Man of Tomorrow, Shrek 5, and Beyond the Spider-Verse, which I essentially think are the big three movies of summer 2027. I just don't know if The Simpsons will be able to do well up against Superman, Shrek, and Miles Morales. Other than that, the only thing to wonder about with this second movie is what the plot will end up being. Now, I can't give out my speculation on what this movie will be about since, again, like I stated earlier on in this video, I haven't seen that much of The Simpsons to know what could be going down in the second movie. But I gotta imagine that it will be something where Springfield is in trouble and it's up to the Simpsons family to not only save their home, but their town as well. That I honestly think will probably end up being the plot for the Simpsons movie, and I don't even know who the villain could be, whether it be an old villain from the series or they create a new villain entirely. And one last thing that I do want to bring up, The Simpsons Movie 2 did take a release date that was previously held by an untitled MCU release, bringing the MCU release calendar for 2027 down to only one movie, which it seems like that essentially the only MCU movie we're getting in 2027 is Avengers Secret Wars, the finale of the MCU's multiverse saga, and Daredevil Born Again, which we know we are getting that third season, which we got confirmed just last week. It's gotta be good enough to carry us over from the release of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars release dates. But that is essentially everything that I did want to go ahead and talk about with The Simpsons movie 2. If you're a fan of the Simpsons franchise, what do you think of this second movie finally happening? And how well do you think this movie is going to perform in the box office whenever it releases? Go ahead and leave your thoughts down in the comments section, and while you're at it, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video, and have a great day.